Hi, everyone. Welcome to Let's Talk. My name is Nick Cosgrove, and I'm joined today by Robyn Schooley. Robyn and I are on our sixth Q&A. We've been doing this for 6 weeks now. Robyn's exhausted. She's been filming all day, so she's really tired now and cranky. So we're on our last video of the day, and it's going to be a Q&A. So 6 Q&A. So Robyn, when you're ready, let's get to the first question.
Okay. Hi, Nick. What abdominal exercise, hi, Nick. Which abdominal exercises are most effective if you want to lose extra fat around my stomach?
Well, if you want to lose fat around your stomach, I wouldn't be looking at abdominal work first. I'd be looking at diet first. Diet is essential. And then secondary would be cardiovascular exercises. Of course, you should do some abdominal work, but I wouldn't look to get that ripped six-pack by doing leg raises, sit-ups, and reverse crunches. Yeah. So I'd be looking at diet and cardio first, and then I'd be throwing in the abdominal work 2-3 times a week max. I don't think you should train your abs any more than any other muscle group. You know, I train my abs twice a week. That's more than enough. If anything, that's probably too much. Because don't forget, when you're doing exercises like squats, deadlifts, bench press, you're using a lot of core work there. So if you're finding that you have some extra layer of fat around your midsection, I'd be looking first at diet, then I'd be looking at cardio. Then I would throw in some leg raises, hanging leg raises, towel crunches, reverse crunches, bicycles. But first, diet, cardio, and then abdominal work.
Yeah. Smart. Hi, Nick. How long should I rest between each set?
In my opinion, people take too long between each set during their rest periods. I personally try to, if I'm training basic straight set, which is just 1 set rest, 1 set rest, I try to keep my rest periods at 45 seconds to a minute max. The way that I train most of my clients, though, we do a lot of circuit training, so they don't really get much rest at all. I usually combine agonist versus antagonist muscle groups, so chest versus back, bicep versus tricep, hamstring versus quadricep. But if you're working in a commercial gym and you don't have the luxury to do circuit training like we do at our private training facility, I'm not plugging in my private training facility. I'm just saying if you have to work out of a commercial gym, basic straight set style, I wouldn't take longer than 45 seconds to a minute rest. Okay, now obviously if you're doing a triple drop set or something like that at the end, you might need a longer rest period, but I wouldn't take longer than 45 seconds to a minute.
And use some big words there. That's very impressive. Hi, Nick. I recently lost my job to COVID-19 and have been feeling really stressed and depressed lately. Do you think I should take some time off exercising to more to focus on my career and business goals?
No, if anything, you should be exercising more. I have a lot of my clients that tell me that they're actually more productive when they exercise, not less. Yeah. Most of us know that exercise actually helps reduce stress. So if you're feeling stressed, this is the best time to exercise. You can't go to the gym, go for a run. If you can't go for a run, do a home workout, do some circuit training. There's lots of things you can do. Workouts don't have to be an hour long either. You can do a 15, 20 minute, you can get a great cardio workout in that time. The endorphins that you're going to achieve just from that quick workout, you're going to be feeling a lot less stressed and more relaxed and probably more focused. So if anything, I would be using this time to work on your business, but at the same time, keep working on your exercise routine as well.
Yeah, I think goes back to a question that you had last week and about putting it in that routine.
Right.
If you have a daily routine, including exercise, which enables, endorphins and those things like that to get going, then all of a sudden I find that you've got a sense of relax, but also a sense of joy, which shows after each exercise. And then from there, you start working on your business or your career with a little bit of a more positive attitude and a little bit of a clearer mind. It can definitely, work comes before the exercise, in my opinion, but in congruence with, it's that goal that we're all looking for in a life is balance. And now is a great time that you can start implementing that, especially if you don't have a job necessarily right now, which is incredibly sad, that situation, but you can start working in that routine that you'd like to get set up. You can go to bed at 8 p.m. and get up at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. and do a workout, and then start your day and work on career goals.
I agree. And, for myself personally, my workouts have been keeping me sane during this whole pandemic. Business is not as busy as it usually is, So my workouts have been really keeping me focused and allowing me to work on fresh new ideas for the company. So if anything, I find you should be working out to be more productive and to think clear. And again, for keep stress levels, cortisol levels low.
Yeah. Smart. Okay. Number 4. Hi, Nick. Do you think personal trainers should be in excellent shape if they want to be successful in the fitness industry?
Check out our weighted debate. We just put it up on the channel on Tuesday evening.
Again, not trying to plug anything.
No, not trying to plug it in, but that was one of the topics that we actually discussed. Yeah. So on 2 things, I do think a trainer should practice what he or she preaches. So in a sense, I do think they should be active and fit. I don't necessarily think they have to have a ripped 6-pack and bulging biceps though. I know a lot of great trainers who are not necessarily in the best of shape, but they're extremely knowledgeable and they're well educated and they're extremely experienced as well. So I think it's important to, look healthy or be healthy and look fit. I don't think it necessarily you have to be extreme though. I don't think you have to have a chiseled 6-pack and ripped, chest, biceps, and all this other stuff. So I think it's more important to have the knowledge, the education, and the experience than the body.
Yeah. I've on the other side seen people with amazing bodies, amazing things, but it's almost like they're so focused on that one aspect of looking good,
right?
That the actual training purpose of somebody that might have some issues or not, like not everybody will have the regime the same way, or not everybody will follow suit the same way. So yeah, I don't think that it's what importance you want in a trainer, like knowledge, expert, and Nick, you obviously look, I think anyone who knows him looks, it's ridiculous. He's just like a human walking anatomy. It just, every muscle in every spot. Don't say it, you are, but you look great. It's crazy, ridiculous. But at the same time, you always spend time working on, he constantly educates himself different ways, like whether or not it's a forum, whether or not it's internet, or in-person talks, with ways to constantly grow as a person as well, grow as a trainer. And looks are sort of a side note of learning about the industry.
Yeah. And, I did mention, and I'm not trying to plug it in, but I did mention on the weighted debate that I know a lot of bodybuilders with amazing physiques, both men and women.
Sure.
They don't know a thing about training people. They know how to train themselves, but when you're working with someone who might have MS or physical limitation, you have to account for that. So again, education goes a long way, as does experience. So don't just take advice from someone because they look good. That doesn't necessarily mean anything.
No. Okay, number 5. Hi, Robyn. What is your favorite pre-workout meal? I know. So I would say that mine probably depends on A, how I'm feeling, B, what workout I'm doing. Sometimes I will go into, if my stomach is upset, like I try to generally find some sort of protein, a very light carb, and an energizing vegetable. So usually some sort of green. That's where I find I get the most clearing. But sometimes I'll even have just green juice. And when I say green juice, it's 7.
You can 7 p.m.
Yeah, you hear it. Sorry for the interruption. You're healthcare workers. But no, so we do, I'm distracted, sorry. But no, protein, and some sort of light vegetable. If it's just cardio, I won't eat. Sometimes I don't want to have anything too heavy to lay me down, so it will just be some days I've just done some tofu, which already has fat in it, and a bunch of spinach and celery. And then if I do a heavy workout, like one of making my workouts that I know is going to challenge me, and I need pure fuel, if it's something like legs, I will do a protein, a good carb, and a green vegetable. And if it's early in the morning, sometimes I do same as Nick, just in lower volume, which would be the oatmeal and a protein powder, just in lower volume. But today's, for example, was Yives veggie ground round, a little bit of rice, very, very little bit, like it would compensate for about 1/8 of the meal, and about a half a cup of spinach, and yeah, I don't know, but yeah, generally I want to have a protein, a small amount of carb, and I'm a big on having some sort of vegetable power, clean source of vitamins. So usually a very clean green that is not gaseous.
Yeah. And, you know, I think also to add to that with Robyn, I know with her pre-workouts, it really is case dependent on her stomach. So it could be like, you know, whether we're working out at 5 in the morning or 5 o'clock at night, it's also kind of how, you know, what her body's telling her that day. Where unlike me, I'll do the same pre-workout meal regardless of what time we train at. I'm just a creature of habit. So it's really interesting though, but at the end of the day, I think she'll tell you right there that she always make sure she has a good balance of carbs, protein, fats, regardless.
Yeah. And it's what, again, Nick and I look a little bit differently. And he, as I said, his body's amazing, but I look at food differently. Like I look at the micronutrients more than the macro. I want to know my overall macro count, but the importance of what each thing that I'm putting into my body matters immensely. And I think Nick looks over more at the macros, the heavy one going. And even though we're not big micro macro people, but if you look at the difference between us, that would be our main sort of importance when we do our meals. I care about vegetables.
I just, for the record, I still look at micronutrient value.
He absolutely does. He absolutely does. I would say just between the two of us, I think I for my personal self, I have a heavier focus on that for me for each meal. But that's my own neuroses. So I can't say one for sure thing. Some days I'll even just I actually really got into for a while just having green juice, like pure green, no fruit. Okay, sorry. So it's random. I'm sorry, I don't have a direct answer.
It doesn't have a direct pre-workout meal for you.
No.
It's random.
Yeah, just like the rest of life. Hi, Nick. What is the most challenging part of starting your own personal training company?
Oh, there were actually so many challenges. I never went to business school, which I probably would have helped if I had taken a few business courses earlier on in my career. Sure. I kind of just went into it blindly. You know, there's so many things I could look at now and think, God, I wasted so much time doing this or that. But when I look back at it, I didn't really waste time because everything was a learning experience. I would say the hardest part though, for me starting a personal training company was getting clients at first, getting your name in there, because when you start in this industry, it's very difficult to make a name for yourself, especially if you're not working for a gym. I mean, I never worked for a gym, so I had to rely a lot on, word of mouth. Back when I first started, there was no Facebook, there was no Instagram, so social media wasn't an option. I remember putting out ads on Craigslist. I offered free sessions. So, I mean, just getting your clientele, getting your name out there, that was probably the most challenging part. I don't think it's any easier these days for new trainers breaking into the industry. I think because there's so much competition.
Yeah,
but
it's a very flooded market.
It is, yeah. And again, I don't use social media as a way to market myself. I want to keep social media as a way to stay relevant with our clientele base. So I would say definitely it was getting clients. And then again, just learning how to run a business. I mean, there's so many things behind the scenes that people don't see. They think you're just on the floor training clients, but they don't see all the invoicing, all the accounting that goes on behind the scenes. They don't see the emails. There's a lot of work, that goes on once you're done that session. So it's not as simple as you train that client for an hour and okay, that's it, I'm done for the day. No, it's like, that's just the start of the day. Then you got to go home and do all the paperwork. So it's a lot of work.
Well, I think a really important part that you're saying there is, company. So your business.
Yeah.
So like that's a big word, encompassing, but I have a bit of a business background, and I can tell you that one of the most interesting things when I first met Nick is his understanding of like schematics and different theories that you learn in school that he just had off the top of his head without realizing that it was actually a developed theory, which means calculations, numbers, and testing to put this into work. And it's quite impressive. But it was, from my understanding and what he says, like a tested going in, like, okay, I'm starting this company. I need to learn this, and this, which is a very hard knocks way of doing it, which I don't think you'd recommend to everybody. As you say, take a few courses, don't go that way.
No.
But I think it is, and this is what I always say, you have such an intricate knowledge of the human body, of personal training, of each client, but you actually also have an excellent business mind, and that's always what's blowing me away. And what you do again and again is have word of mouth, and any business that has a good true word of mouth that's going to succeed so much further than flash in the pan, be it Instagram now, or even like a good advertising scheme, that will only get you so far, and it will fade out. Word of mouth recommendations, that's what stays with you for every, like, be it this or even your favorite restaurant, mom and pa, that you don't know, that you only know because Tom told you, and then Bob told Tom, and if somebody's grandparents told them. Best business models you can ever ask for.
And you can be a great trainer, you could be a great chef, you could be a great real estate agent, but if you don't know how to run a business, you're not going to get very far. And I learned that the hard way at the very beginning. I mean, after about 4 years of personal training, I was easily doing 14, 15-hour days, back-to-back clients, and 7 days a week, and I burnt out quickly. So even though I still work that 7 days a week, I've learned to adjust my hours accordingly, so I'm not doing those crazy hours anymore. Otherwise, I mean, you will burn yourself out, and you're no longer working on your business, you're working in your business.
Yeah, he's still working ridiculous hours. P.S. Just not on the floor. Love you.
Next question. Okay,
sorry. Number 7, Nick, have you ever fired a client before?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was talking about that with one of my clients this morning, actually, through email. It happened once, and essentially this particular client had booked, we do offer 30-minute sessions, and she had booked 30-minute sessions, and she wanted to spend the first 15 minutes asking me questions, which I have no problem answering. But the problem is when you're asking me very complex and, questions that require an extensive answer, it's going to take some time away from the training. So I always tell my clients, if you have questions, ask me while we're working out, but if they're really like questions, in-depth questions, save it for emails. I'll answer all your emails. I always do it for all my clients. So this particular client got annoyed with me because she said I was wasting her time. So I said, if I'm wasting your time, I don't think we're a good fit. And but that client, it didn't last very long. I think I trained her for probably about a month. And that was probably going back about 7 or 8 years ago. That's the only time I actually told a client, I don't think we're a good fit. And again, I don't have anything against that person. It just didn't gel. But of all my years of training, I've only actually had to, and I don't like to use the word fire. I just use the word that it wasn't a good fit and I wasn't the trainer for that person. So that's the only time I've had a bad incident with one person.
Yeah, 30-minute sessions, that's a rarity for you.
Yeah, we don't really do that many of them. Occasionally we'll get 1 or 2 people who do book them up for lunch hour, but those people are usually been training with me for a long time too.
Yeah.
So we can do a lot in 30 minutes. If you're someone, and this person was actually new to the gym. So if you're new to the gym, I recommend, especially if you're working with a trainer, book the hour session, because you might not be able to work out intensely for that entire hour at first, but it's so worth your time and effort because you'll learn so much from that trainer in that hour period.
Yeah, so sorry, a side note with, and this is my pet peeve, like, and I don't see it more, but being your partner, being like it with around you so much, I often see people come and just ask questions. I think this goes for a lot of different professions, but I think it's even more so for you because maybe because personal training doesn't have the same sort of respect level or whatever, but like, say that you were going to a lawyer, and I'm not comparing the things, but in the sense of this is a profession, this is how a person makes their livelihood, and it takes energy out. And if you were to go to a lawyer and ask XYZ question regarding, like a business merger or whatever, and then you spend half an hour talking about XYZ, chances are A, that lawyer won't answer you, or B, the lawyer won't answer you, or B, you're going to get billed, and you're going to get billed heavy
by the minute.
And so I see it happen to you a lot, and I think because it is sort of a more fun industry and things like that, that people just start going and going, and they're interested in it, you, and you're a lovely person, but it is like we're now half an hour into things, and you're not like, this isn't, you're not getting paid, you're not doing whatever. So when a client does take the time of doing that, you haven't been given the opportunity to train them, nor have you been. So that's, I mean, it's just something that I see all the time, which is also why I'm so selfish for saying this right now, because I'm taking up time on these questions. But these interviews are such a great thing, because again, this is your knowledge that you get paid for, and it's a great.
I also think, just add again to that, when I'm working with someone on the floor, and I don't really have that many conversations with my clients. And, you can ask any of my clients, I'm there to train them. I'm not there to ask them how their day is or how their life is. I don't really care how their day or how their life is going.
You do. That's not true.
To a point though. I mean, they're here to work out and get a good workout.
Yes. Yeah.
So I care about my clients, but I'm not there to figure out, how'd your date go last night? That's not my business. I'm getting paid to do a job. My job is to help you get the results that you want. So if you have questions for me when it comes to training and diet, I always tell my clients, if they're my clients, email me those questions. And I always answer every single one of my questions for my clients.
Yes. Okay. And now moving on. So I'm sorry, I lost my place. Number 8. Hi, Nick. I've been training with weights at home more often since COVID-19, and I have noticed that my pants fit more loosely, yet the number on the scale is actually higher. Shouldn't I be losing weight if I'm exercising more?
No, that's fantastic. If anything, you're changing your body composition. One of the things, I work with a lot of people online, and sometimes the scale doesn't budge for 2-3 weeks, but they send me their check-in photos on a weekly basis. And occasionally I'll get someone that says, hey, I haven't lost any weight in 3 weeks. I'm like, yeah, but look at your photo from week 1 versus week 3. And then they look at it like, wow. So I say, yeah, your body composition is changing. You are losing fat and building muscle. And yes, despite what all these fitness experts say, you can do both at the same time if your diet and your training are in check. If you're following a shitty diet and you're not training hard, no, you're not going to see results. But if you're doing a proper balanced nutritional plan with a good training program, you will lose fat and you will build muscle. I have people, sometimes they lose weight on the scale and yet their strength goes up in the gym. So you can't always look at the number on the scale and say, well, oh man, I didn't lose any weight this week. I should probably starve myself more. Not necessarily. I also work with a lot of women, and when it's that time of the month, they'll easily put on 5-6 pounds in a few days. Guys too, sometimes, if they have a cheat meal, they'll put on 3 or 4 pounds. So it's water retention. So be very careful looking at the scale all the time. That's why I always tell my clients too, when they send me their weekly check-ins, I always want them to weigh. I don't ask my clients to weigh themselves 5 or 6 times a week. I usually ask them just to weigh themselves, usually that, once or twice, depending on what their goal is, what we're working for. The scale is used as a guide only. That's it.
Yeah. And it's, I think we could, I don't weigh myself because it can be a very nasty mind.
Yeah.
It can play games with your mind unless Okay. Number 9, I recently started working out 3 times a week with weights. How long does it typically take for someone new to weightlifting to see results?
I hate that question. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I hate that question. And it's a question I get from a lot of new clients. And here's the problem with that question. It's such a vague question. I mean, who knows? I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you when you're going to get results. But what I can tell you is that if you are training intensely, even if it's just 3 times a week, and you're doing that consistently for a good 4 to 6 weeks, you will start to see some noticeable changes in your physique. The problem is people think when they come to the gym, they should see results within a week or 2. It doesn't work like that. You get those few genetic freaks that can get results like that, but those few are far in between. So I always tell people, I'm not going to set a timeline for when you're going to get those results. I want you to set a timeline as to when you want to achieve those results, but it has to be a realistic timeline. So I don't tell someone, well, you should lose 10 pounds in the next 2 weeks. First of all, that's not a realistic goal. And second of all, I don't know, maybe you'll lose only 3 pounds, but at the same time, you'll see the body composition change, So I don't think you should pick a certain amount of weeks. I think you should just try to develop the good habits first. You're training 3 times a week right now. See if you can do that for a month. Then start looking at your physiques. Set small goals first, and then move on to your next big goals.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent answer. Number 10. Hey Nick, I love carbs. How can I eat them and still lose fat though?
Carbs are not carbs are not the enemy. Oh, 1 second. You okay?
That was a yawn, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. She's tired tonight. I'm sorry. I'm keeping her up.
It's okay. Okay, let's go.
Carbs are not the enemy. Okay. So, I mean, I don't know where this came from. As long as you're fueling your body with complex carbohydrates, quinoa, brown rice, yams, sweet potatoes, oatmeal, cream of rice, that type of carbs, you really shouldn't have a problem digesting carbohydrates and gaining fat. I mean, if you go into a caloric surplus of any food, you're going to gain weight. But I mean, as long as you're keeping those carbs relatively clean, you shouldn't have to worry too much about taking carbs out of your diet. In fact, I never take carbs out of people's diets. I'm a firm believer in using carbs to fuel the body. So I'm not a big fan of the keto diet. I know some people swear by it, but I think carbs have a very bad rap and they don't deserve it. If you're eating obviously simple carbs, yeah, you're going to get fat, but you keep those carbs nice and complex, no problem.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's like anything, if you take it out of the diet to lose weight, there's a good chance that you will lose weight. Yeah. But if it's something in your life, like unless you're saying, I'm saying goodbye to that forever, which most people won't do with one, like you might be able to do it with X food. Like maybe I won't ever have bread again for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
But you can't say that for an overall like composition of food. It's just a very, like, I haven't been able to do it. So, but if you can, more power to you, but you'll gain the weight back right away.
Guys, carbs are not the enemies. I'm telling you, I've done a lot of shows and I've dieted on lots of carbs and I've gotten very lean. So it's just the type of carbs you're eating. I promise you will not get fat if you're having good complex carbohydrates and you're not going into a caloric surplus.
Okay. Yeah. Smart guy. Okay. Number 11. Hi, Nick. What's your opinion on oat milk?
Okay. So 2 things with oat milk. Oat milk is actually very healthy. I know I've seen Robyn drink it. But here's the thing. If you are trying to lose weight, oat milk, if you're comparing it to almond milk, oat milk has more calories. Okay, it does have more sugar, does have more carbs. Again, carbs are not the enemy. I'm just saying, if you want a weight loss diet, I wouldn't advise you having oat milk. Hold on, I know Robyn's gonna want to say something here, but I'm just gonna say
no, just because there's okay.
Okay,
you finish.
Okay, and I know there's unflavored oat milk too. That's lower calories. I'm aware of that. Thing with oat milk though is, from a health standpoint, it's very healthy. I mean, it's great. Mm-hmm. But again, when I'm working with someone who says, hey, I want to lose, let's say 10, 15 pounds, I usually won't include oat milk on the diet. I'll go with something more like almond milk, an unsweetened almond milk, which is much lower in calories, because I'll utilize the calories that I would have gotten from the oat milk to other foods like protein powders or, clean other foods like almonds, chicken breasts, whatever I need to utilize for fats, proteins, and carbs. Now she's going to say, go ahead.
Well, because what you're not including and what you see me drinking is oat milk light or light oat milk, where it has one more filtered and more skimmed out. And that's just my personal preference, because I'm weird where the only type of milk I ever had growing up was skim. And then we went on to different types, and most other like hemp, coconut, they're too thick for me. So I prefer a more watery milk, that's just what I like. But it is actually lower in fat, lower in carbs, lower in sugar. It's not like there's no sucralose or anything like that. It's just been more skimmed out. So, and there's a few brands that make the oat milk light.
Okay, so this is where we're gonna disagree, and it's okay to disagree. I have yet to see, and even the one that you drink, I've yet to see an oat milk out there.
That's not what it's in the fridge right now.
Okay.
Okay.
I've yet to see myself, so someone can bring it to my attention, an oat milk where it's unflavored that is actually lower in calories than almond milk. So if you're using unflavored almond milk, I've yet to see it. So if someone can prove me wrong, go ahead.
Okay,
I'll put it on the channel. Okay.
We'll talk later. I'll show you later tonight.
If you have it here, show me now.
No, because I changed it to the whatever, because I went to the different store. Honey, don't.
We disagree on this. Okay. But you know what? I've been wrong before. So
it's about finding the brands. Like, you can't just across, like, when people say, like, I'm eating healthy because it's a vegan product, it's like, that's not really fucking, so are Oreos.
Yeah.
Like, that's not the right way to go about it. And again, sometimes milk is fine for you or whatever. Like, it's none of that is, whether it's a substitute for something or not, doesn't make it healthy or not. But this is where I go kind of weird and nutty, is finding the brand that works.
I understand.
That is the right thing. So, yeah. So obviously, yeah. So we will have this discussion later tonight. It's going to be a fun night.
The person asking this question, I'm assuming they're just talking about regular oat milk, okay? Because they just mentioned oat milk.
Yeah.
So Robyn is talking
Fair
about,
enough.
if for example, someone was asking about milk, we'd say, well, if you're going to go milk, go skim milk. So Robyn's telling you to do like the skim milk version of oat milk.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, again, I'm going to say that I still think almond milk is the best to go with, but she's going to prove me wrong. And when she does, I will put it on the channel of the nutritional value of both in comparison.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Later. Okay.
This person got me in trouble.
I know. Well, because anyways, hit number 12. Hey Nick, do you have any tips to help make my chest grow? Right now, I'm currently doing a flat bench press, decline bench press, and cable flies.
I'm sorry. The person wants to make their chest grow.
Yeah.
And what's the workout routine?
Sorry. Hey 12. I mean, I'm tired. Hey Nick, I was wondering as to what. Hey Nick, do you have any tips to make my chest grow? Right now, I'm currently doing flat bench presses, decline bench press, and cable flies.
Okay, so the first mistake I see in that workout, there's no incline work.
Yeah.
If you're having a lagging chest, if that's the muscle group that's lagging for you, you really need to focus on doing incline work first. This is the biggest mistake I see guys make in the gym all the time, and men are really guilty of this. They all go into the gym and the first exercise they do for chest is a flat bench press. Not only is that dangerous for your rotator cuffs because you're not warmed up properly, it's going to be the least effective way to grow your chest. You got to think of pec major and pec minor. Those are your two muscle groups of your chest. It's not complicated, guys. So if pec major is the majority, it's focused more on the upper pecs. You look at an anatomy chart and pec major is mostly on the upper portion of your chest. So it only makes sense to do more incline work. So I would actually start your workout with either an incline barbell or incline dumbbell press. Then I would go into a flat press, whether it be barbell or dumbbell. Then I would actually switch the cable flies for some dumbbell flies for the time being. I personally think free weights are the way to go. And if your chest is still lagging, I would throw in 2 incline movements. Why not throw in an incline barbell and an incline dumbbell press, or an incline barbell and an incline dumbbell fly? So I think, and as far as decline work, I don't have any of my clients or myself do any decline work. I find decline presses to be ineffective. I find them to be dangerous. I find them to put a lot of emphasis on the rotator cuffs again. So I don't have anyone do decline work. Primarily upper chest and then just a little bit of mid chest. So I would pick 1 or 2 incline movements and I would stick to those at the beginning of your workout.
And I could say that you're pretty rigid on doing that yourself.
All the time.
Okay, number 13. I was wondering, hi Nick, I was wondering as to why you have other trainers come onto your channel and promote their own services. Aren't you worried that they're helping you're helping your competition generate more business?
Absolutely not. All the trainers that I have come on the channel, first of all, I respect all of them. I think they're great trainers. I don't invite people who I think are shitty trainers onto the channel. Mm-hmm. We don't always agree on the same topics, which is fine. Like Robyn and I don't agree on the oat milk. She's wrong, I'm right. So, I mean, the thing about, am I worried about giving my competition business? Not at all. If my clients want to go to another trainer, I always tell them, I always tell my clients, you should train with whoever you feel comfortable training with. I might not be the trainer for them. And say someone might want to do jiu-jitsu. I have a lot of guys I work with who do jiu-jitsu and do MMA, teach boxing. I don't teach that, so I refer them out. So I have some people that would rather work with a woman over a man. So then I refer them to either Megan or another trainer who's a female, right? So no, I'm not worried about that at all. If anything, I think it's actually good to help promote each other. I don't think you should be afraid of your competition.
No, I think you should excel over your competition.
I agree. But I mean, I don't see anything wrong with having people on the channel who are in the same field as you. No,
not at all.
No.
Providing,
No, providing what?
that you respect them.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. No, I don't have people on the channel who I don't respect. And there are a few
Yeah,
trainers
that's right.
out there who I don't respect, and they're not welcomed on the channel.
Okay, number 14. How many calories do you think having sex burns? And do you think it's good exercise for fat loss?
Is this your question? I don't know exactly how many calories sex burns.
Well, it depends on what you're doing during sex.
I guess it depends on what you're doing, but I think the numbers out there are a bit exaggerated. And it depends how long you're going, I guess, too. But I think sex does burn calories for sure.
Yeah.
I think if you're in great physical shape, the better your sex life's going to be. If you're someone who is not in shape, or you have you're overweight and you're unhealthy, I don't think your sex life's going to be very good. Your libido's not going to be very good. And I can speak on behalf of men. Not that I'm going to go into my sex life here, but at the same time, I feel like the more physically fit and active you are, the stronger your libido is. I think the same actually goes for women as well. Would you agree?
Yeah, well, I think that there's a couple steps where the way, if you feel better, then of course that will be a hindrance. But I think also, like, there is a mental aspect of like that sort of feeling good and looking good, and as you said, as we mentioned before, about getting those endorphins out, and like that exercise, you look at yourself in the mirror and you're kind of like, oh, this looks good, and then you feel good, and then that gets that going, and then you've had, once you've exercised in the day, and then you're already sort of on the high note, it's sort of that follow through of the day. As far as burning calories in sex, I guess it depends what you're doing during it, like, and who's doing what, and all the rest of it. Like, I think there's several factors. I don't think you could ever look at this like it's not a treadmill that you say, okay, this amount of time, you've now burnt this amount of calories. And if that is how that you can do that per each sexual encounter, I would either applaud or disgust. Like, I don't know even how to go about that.
I wrote
maybe a little bit of both. Yeah.
I put out a blog a few weeks ago talking about sex and exercise, and I actually think one of the benefits of exercising is better sex. Again, not going into our sex life, it's just that the more you exercise, like Robyn said, the better you feel about yourself, the more energy you have. I mean, at the end of the day, we are animals, so I mean, there's nothing wrong about wanting to have sex. So she's embarrassed now. But I do think that sex is very healthy. I think that it burns calories. I don't think it burns as much calories as a workout, unless you're doing a marathon session and you're going for 4 or 5 hours. Good for you. But for most people, no, I don't think I would use sex as a tool to burn fat.
Okay, moving on.
I use it for other things though, but not for burning fat.
Oh my God. Like, what do you use it for?
I don't know. Who asked the question? I didn't ask that question.
Okay, number 15. Hey Nick, how I'm flustered. Hey Nick, what is more important, the amount of calories or the type of calories you consume in a day?
The type of calories. I don't count calories, and that's one thing. Whenever I work with a new client on a nutritional plan, they say, "Well, how many calories is this?" And I'll respond back, "I don't know." Like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, I don't know. I don't count calories. And the reason I don't count calories is because my goal is to help people build muscle and lose fat. That's why people hire me to work with me. So I don't count calories. Just like I don't really care what the scale says. If the scale is going down a pound a week, great. If it's not, I'm not too worried about it. I'm just looking at how my clients' results and how they feel. So it definitely depends on the quality of your foods. And I do count micronutrients, not just macronutrients. But I would say the quality of your foods. I am extremely against it if it fits your macros diet. I'm not a fan of it. I've talked about that numerous times in the past. I think it's a really crappy diet. And personally, I've never seen anyone who actually really looks that healthy who follows a diet like that. So the quality of your food is what's important, not necessarily just the calories. Okay? Yeah. But again, just to go back into this, you can have too much of it, a good thing. So if you're eating too much fruit, you're eating too much rice, you're eating too much even oatmeal, you will gain weight. So you don't want to be in a crazy caloric surplus. So you have to see in somewhat of a maintenance level. And when I say I don't count calories, I don't count exact calories, but I have a general idea as to what I'm giving people calorie wise. But I look more at the macronutrients and the micronutrients. Yeah,
which is, I think that's an important thing, is people say, well, but I'm eating, like, everything I'm eating is healthy. Like, still isn't a lot of it. Like,
yeah, exactly.
I don't know, I was on a kick for a while with yams and peanut butter. I don't know, it's just a thing. But like, which is in generally healthy, but like I was eating a lot of it. So stuff changes. Like it's just the way it is.
Yeah. Portion control is important.
Huge. Okay, number 16. Is quinoa really that much better than rice? I hate the taste of it.
I know who sent me this question. So quinoa is known to be this superfood, right? I've done quinoa. I like quinoa, but do I think it's better than rice? Nutritional wise, I do actually. But here's the thing. I'm not against, I have brown rice in my diet right now. I think brown rice is really good. I think it's healthy. It's got a lot of fiber in there. Quinoa is a little bit more expensive, so I mean, if you're on a budget, you're better off going with something like brown rice or yams. But do I think quinoa is necessary? No. So if you absolutely hate the taste of it, I mean, I use it as an option for clients. Another option I give them is brown rice. But if you were asking me if I think quinoa is better than white rice, hands down, yes, 100%.
Yeah.
I don't think white rice is that nutritious. I do find that quinoa is the best to use. Second best would be brown rice. And it's just because of nutritional value. There's a lot more nutrients in quinoa. But go ahead.
Sorry, just a tip to change the taste, and this will change the composition a little bit, but not a ton. Add extra water and overcook it. It's because the way that you generally get quinoa into their instruction is that it's so those perfect like little round balls, and it's sort of like got a poppy texture.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, that's a very childish way of explaining it, but that's the best I can do.
Yeah.
But if you add a bit more water and slightly overcook it, you almost get a little bit of a sticky rice texture.
Okay. That's a good tip. And one more thing I just want to add to that too, because I have a lot of people that will go out and get quinoa salads from Urban Fare or from Choices. And that is something I do not recommend. It's because the reason why their quinoa tastes good, they add a bunch of fillers, they add a bunch of oils, nuts and stuff like that. So be very wary when you're just getting quinoa salad. Just because it says quinoa salad does not necessarily mean it's healthy. Okay.
No.
We're talking straight up quinoa here.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Number 17. Why do you not include dairy in your nutritional plans? Isn't it necessary for bone health?
That's a misconception. I don't include dairy for most people because I find most people I do work with are a little bit lactose intolerant. Some people don't even realize they're lactose intolerant, and they come to work with me and say, I always get breakouts on my skin, or my stomach is always feeling upset. And then as soon as I take dairy out of their diet, they're like, oh my God, I feel amazing. My skin's clearing up. I say, I think you're a little lactose intolerant. But that's not everybody. I mean, I'm not lactose intolerant, so I could do dairy. I don't include it in my diet because dairy doesn't really offer any benefits. If you're looking for bone health, you could take a good calcium supplement.
There's a lot of pre-mentioned micronutrients.
Oh yeah, there's tons of
and
foods.
Vitamins.
There's tons of foods that you can get calcium from already.
Yeah, like way more calcium than offered in like a cup of milk.
I mean, for the amount of calcium that the average woman needs to consume in a day, you'd have to consume like 8 liters of milk to get it. It's like vitamin C, you can get your vitamin C from an orange. You know how many oranges you'd have to consume to get your daily requirement of vitamin C? So dairy, in my opinion, doesn't really offer any benefits. If I do have someone who absolutely has to have a little bit of dairy in their diet, I will allow it. But I'll usually use like a good source of dairy, like something like skim milk, a Greek yogurt, maybe something like that. But I'm not a big fan of like cheese and stuff like that. I don't really find that offers too many benefits health-wise. Yeah.
There is lactose-free milk and actually cheese as well.
Which I do include on people's plans. I just don't include dairy for most people, but not for everyone. There are some people who work with me who I do have doing dairy. So it just depends on the individual.
Yeah. Yeah. You're very, very flexible as far as what people's tastes and so on.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 18. Hi, Nick. When was the last time you actually went on vacation? Asking as a concerned client. No, I didn't write this in, but I personally really like this client now and am on their side.
We went on vacation last year to Victoria. No. We went for a 2-day trip for a show I competed in. That was like a vacation. Last vacation I probably took was maybe when I was like maybe 10 years old with my parents.
No, there's been the odd thing, but he doesn't take time off in general, and even when he does, he's on the computer.
Yeah, and Well, when I'm on the computer, I'm working. I'm not just on the computer.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's what I meant.
Yeah. And I think what's happened is during COVID-19, I was talking to a lot of people who I know, business owners, and a lot of them actually kind of enjoyed COVID-19 at the beginning because they could kind of relax a little bit. And I was a little guilty of that myself. I'm like, I even said to Robyn, I'm like, oh, I could probably sleep in a few days. So that lasted maybe a day, and then I got back to work. So I'm not that person. I don't like to take time off.
Right. And I'm just going to interject here because you're insane. I think a goal of a human is to have some sort of balance. And that's a goal that we all work towards. And it doesn't mean, like, that I'm the same way, that if I have an opportunity, I'm going to work, I'm going to do something. And that's just the way that I like my brain. But I think separating something and having some downtime in whatever form you want to take it, it is important. And because just like you were saying, exercise can lead to better results in your business and sex life and all the rest, that having an opportunity to switch things up, that restart, that a vacation or whatever can offer is a huge benefit. Okay. And that was the final question.
No, hold on a second. I just want to add that. Yeah. I do tell my clients, because a lot of my clients are surprised when I work 7 days a week and they say, don't you take a day off? And no, I don't. I enjoy what I do. And I always say to Robyn, okay, next year I'll schedule a day off where I can take like a regular day off. And that still hasn't come. It probably will come sooner than later. But at the same time, I am enjoying working 7 days a week. I still feel young enough that I can handle that workload. But yeah, I do think over time I probably will need to schedule at least 1 day off a week.
As well as vacation, because this is a big, beautiful world that you can learn a lot from. And if you don't have an opportunity to take advantage of that, you're going to miss out on a lot of life.
You're right. And that's one thing I do tell all my clients is that, don't do what I do as far as workload. I think everyone should give themselves at least 1 day off. I mean, I take a day off from the gym every week, right? So, I mean, you might as well take a day off work as well.
Okay, and on that note of craziness, that was the last question, and we're out.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Robyn, for doing this questionnaire for me. I know you're tired this evening. We've had a long, long day of filming, so I appreciate you coming on for this last video tonight. And this video should be going up at some point on Wednesday afternoon, early evening. So thank you very much. Robyn, thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Have a good night, everybody. Bye.